my new crown wheel bearings have finally come, so I just have one just sitting on there. This is the outer race, so they're literally just taken out of the freezer. So that's just sitting in there. I'm going to get the old outer race now and use it just to tap that down into the trumpet. So that's the outer races of the new crown wheel bearings tapped in. I didn't record it because it was just a lot of tapping and noise. So I'm going to bring out the air fryer now, and I'm going to sit these into the air fryer, the other ones over there, sit them at 200 degrees for about 20 minutes. So my bearings are cooking there, so they're nearly done. Ready then to tap them onto this. We'll see how we get on. Okay, that was very, very easy. You know, he took literally 3 taps of the hammer and it went straight down, so delighted. I might actually video the other side now, since that was so easy. That looks good. I think that's it. I don't think we're going to be getting any more out of that. Yep, that looks good. So the next thing that is going to be done with that, I'd say, is just a quick blow off with the air gun, just to make sure all of the bits of dust and stuff is off it. And then I'm going to lift it in place into the back axle, and going to put the right hand one I can put on first. So that's the left one with the block on it. Well, actually, before I put it in, I might just sit it into this and check the clearance with a feeler gauge. It says in the workshop manual there should be between 13 and 20 thousandths between the face of the crown wheel and that kind of a machine surface there. So that's what I might do. I'll sit it in there, throw a bit of oil in there or grease first, and just measure the clearance. So that's the diff sitting in the left trumpet. So what they say to do is measure, it should be between 13 and 28,000 or 22. This is 15 thousandths, so there's a 5 and a 10 thou feeler gauge there. Just looking to feel. So there's definitely more than that in it. We're definitely safe enough. So there's 21 right at the very end. They say that it's a 22 they're allowing, so that's not going in. That's what we want. There's 16 thou, so there's, I'd say, about 17 thou. Just a slight little drag on that. So I'm going to leave that as it is. It is, yeah, that sound feels lovely when it's turning. It's cooled down a bit, yeah. Yeah, so I'm very happy with that. I can lift this back into the back end now, and I can put it on, I'll put on the far side trumpet housing. Maybe I might be able to put the far side trumpet housing on first. But I do have a bit of cleaning up to do of the nuts holding on the trumpet on the other housing, so I might start doing that, move all this out of the way. Has to be bits of paint and rust flying. So that's that much done anyway. I'm happy with those bearings. So that's this gasket surface just getting ready for a new gasket. So I'll put a bit of grease shun it up there with sandpaper. I went around it with the wire wheel and the drill, and a bit of grease now. It's the best man for the job. Just in case it all has to come asunder again, it'll come easier. I might even be able to use the gaskets again, if that should happen. All going well though, it'll go back together once and it'll be back together for a long time. This end of things won't have to be looked at or touched. So that's just a quick smear of grease on that. The gasket will spread it out. Just the slightest little smear. Don't want to be adding any thickness to the gasket that I don't need to. So I'll get the gasket now and try that for a fit. And these gaskets I found were very brittle, suppose they have to be fairly thin. So I'll just try and be as careful as I can. Maybe go with something like that. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Well, for gaskets fitting now, this actually is fairly good. Everything seems to be lining up well. It'll be a bit of a lottery now with some of these new gaskets. I'm happy enough with that. Fairly accurate there. Yeah, I always try to make sure it's definitely in place down below here, because it's just the last thing you want is it start leaking. Yeah, so that might just stay in place for us. I'm going to smear a bit of grease on the front of it here, and we'll call that ready for trumpet housing. So that's the diff back in, held in place with a brake cross shaft, and I have this trumpet housing on the side, just held on with 2 nuts. So we're doing well. So that's all greased up. That side there, the outer race of the bearing is all greased up nice. So I think what I'll do now is fit this trumpet housing on now, and we can call it buttoned up for this evening. So that's the other gasket on, so the left hand side. So I've rubbed in a bit of grease into that roller taper bearing there, and I have a bit more put on the outer race of that bearing. Just check these for tightening. They have spring washer on them. So the next job is to lift this onto there and to run a few nuts onto the studs there, just to hold it for even 2 of them will do. That's the next job, get that fitted, and I can stick a half shaft in then and give it a twist, give the diff a twist to make sure everything's turning freely. Now the problem you'll run into when you try to do this on your own is the diff will want to fall downwards a little bit, and that bearing just won't line up. So I've got a nut on 2 of the studs the other side, so I'm just going to give this a little lift here with a pinch bar and take the weight of the trumpet, and it should fall into place. So that's after working. Quick lever of that is after getting the diff into the right place, and it's after going into the outer race of the bearing in the trumpet housing here. So any of these studs that came out, I gave a little touch of the Indian head, because strange enough there's no washers on these, and the studs go right through into the oil, through the casting into the oil. So you know, there isn't really anything stopping the oil coming through them, or I don't know. So I just have to go in and put a bit of Indian head on the treads, because I might just, no, there was never any problem before, but that's not to say there'll be a problem in the future. And of course, if oil starts coming through and you take one out, it's going to drain all your oil again. So that's why I'm doing this, is to hopefully save me having to do that. So now the next stage after this is to stick a half shaft in, and then I'll be able to turn the diff in there and make sure that everything is turning freely. Should be. Everything is shimmed up nicely. So I'm just going to go run around the last few of them and stick a half shaft in. Right, so I'm starting to build up these half shafts. So I've put a new gasket on the other side of this. I didn't video that, and I tapped in a new seal as well in there for the half shaft, and that's greased up. So I'm starting to check out shims. So I'm putting the same size shims on each side. So I have them all marked out there. So I'm taking a 22 tow, I have one of each, and I'm taking a 12 tow. So I'm taking one of each, and I'm going to put them on one side, and then I'm going to try them for a fit, and do the same with the other side with the same shims, and hopefully they'll be about right with those on it. So let's try that for a fit, and I'll do the same with the other side. So I'm just sort of tapping in the half shaft seal on this side, because this half shaft had to come out a few times as I was doing my maths to get the right end float on the bearings there. So I seem to have about 0.12 of a mil, and that seems to be within tolerance. So I only had 3 bolts in, so I want to put in the whole 6 of them. It says only 3 is needed in the workshop manual. I want to put all 6 in, tighten up and redo the test and make sure everything is still within tolerance. So next step is to fit this and tighten up all of the bolts. So I had a busy day today. As you can see, everything's painted, and there's not a whole lot of videos before this. So I did put it back together, obviously, and I had done my mathematics on the shims and stuff. So what I did was I quickly put the wheels on it and the brakes on it roughly, and I took it for a spin out. I moved the gold belly out of the way, and I took it for a spin in and out of the driveway a few times to make sure that there was no strange sounds. So I adjusted the brakes quickly just so I had some, and I brought it back in, jacked it up, and just put a few top coats on it, about 6 or 7 top coats on it, and just blended it in slightly there where it was painted before. It was painted up to here. This all had to be painted, so that kind of a story, you know. So I just have left this, I moved it out of the way and painted there, and then when it dried I pushed it in. So I've just got to push that in fully now, and it started turning out fairly well. I'm no spray painter. I'm just trying to keep the rust off it. And the same here, this can be moved in now. So I'm going to wait for all the paint to dry first. I actually clear varnished them just to keep just to have them stand out a little bit. Why not? So I'm just after hitching up my brake rods now. I'm after doing another quick adjustment on the brakes. So this I might actually I'll be taking it off tomorrow. I'm going to clear varnish all this. I might even just paint up to there. Clear varnish all this nice metal. I like the metal, especially the brass. So I'll do that. That was all just taped off and covered off. And the only reason why I had it on was just when I was bringing it for a drive, just so there wouldn't be hydraulic oil leaking everywhere. So I have the gearbox filled up again. I think it's coming in just on the full, just literally on full. So that's good. I checked underneath for leaks, and please God there won't be any. there was a little bit of grease just blowing out, just pushing out a bit. So naturally enough, because I put grease both sides of the gaskets. So I'll keep an eye on it. But I'm happy enough after bringing it for a few spins that it seems to be good. I did go for the tighter side of the tolerance in the shims because it is new bearings. They will bed in and it'll wear in a lot quicker, we'll say, than old bearings. So that is it now. So tomorrow is just going to be a case of bringing it for a spin, and after I'll throw the mud guards on quickly. I won't even bother wiring up the lights on them, and I'll bring it for a good spin and make sure everything's all right. Yeah, we'll see. So it was a lot of work, busy day, and hopefully now that is it. It's painted and it won't have to be taking us under again for a long time. So the tractor's going back together, and I'm just making sure that there was no leaks of oil or anything coming from under there or in around there, anywhere at all. I haven't put in the grease nipples yet because I wanted to keep an eye in there in case there was oil leaking. It would come out there. So I've got to go and fit this back on. I just want to loosen it there again, put a jug underneath in case there's any oil. Shouldn't be much oil in that pipe, and then line it up to whatever one of them is the right one. I have to put I was just checking out this battery here. I have to put on the earth. I have to put on the earth lead now, but that means taking off one of them bolts down there. So I have to figure out, forget which one it is. So that's another little job, and then I have to make sure it's good and clean around it for connection. So I might have to get the Dremel at that now. So that's the next job. So the shed's after getting a little bit of a tidy up, because there was a busy weekend of work. Fifth and final part of the wheel bearings on this 1954 Ferguson 20 diesel. It wasn't the easiest job. I took it for a spin, and I think when the weight of the tractor goes on the wheels, that, you know, that's more of a test than literally just checking the end float. I felt that it was like, because I had the end float right at the minimum tolerance, you'd swear that when the weight of the tractor went on the wheels, that the half shaft just bent every so slightly or flexed, and that just affected things. I just felt that it was a little bit too tight, so I'm after putting in another shim each side this afternoon, and I was far happier with how it felt afterwards, even just turning the wheels. You know, it was like the brakes were stuck on a little bit. It was just a bit stiff, and I think there's no need for that really, like for it to be stiff. I don't want that to be, especially being the new bearings. So all I have to do is just put the battery tray back on. So yeah, I definitely have to bring it out for another spin. It was challenging enough now, to be honest with you. And even the heat shrink collar that you've put on the end of the half shaft, you know, you only have seconds to get that on properly after it's red hot. And if you leave it longer than that, you're wondering, has it tapped down enough? Is it holding the bearing in the right place? If it isn't, if it's up too high, you're going to have to, I don't know, you're going to have problems with the end float. So yeah, it was a little bit, it was definitely challenging now. So it was, especially when I started doing the diff bearings as well. They seem to be fine, by the way. So at most, I just have to keep an eye at the actual wheel bearings. I'm fairly happy with them though. They should be fine now. So this is most likely now going to be just try and keep it in a condition where I can bring it for a spin and try and get to know it a bit more. What all the noises and the sounds it makes, you know, and an awful lot of work is done on it. But of course the gold belly project did take up the last 3 months or so. So I will probably start tipping little jobs on this. I would like to check the end float on the half shafts in this one, because I do hear a bit of clunk 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 when it's driving. I don't know, I can't make it do it there, but I do hear it every now and again. So off with the wheel, off with the brake hub. I'd like to get a look in there anyway, and just have a little push and pull the half shaft and just have a feel, see what it's like. I don't think it's going to cause any problems, but I just, now that the rest of it is fresh in my head, I wouldn't mind doing that. But no, it's starting great, it's running well. It's as you know, if you're following the videos on it, it was a kind of, I said I'd give it 3 months to try and sort out a good few issues and get it into a condition where it's starting, stopping, charging its battery, and it's not leaking all fluids everywhere. So still a small few other little jobs, one of which is to take that off and put a little gasket behind it. I have mentioned that in other videos, so that will involve draining out the oil. But yeah, it's just a little follow up on the wheel bearings on the grey diesel 20. Just for anyone who's considering doing them, you know, we had to use a very, very, very big press to get those half shafts out, and we still ended up having to cut the bearings with oxyacetylene. Like, it was a really, really tough job to get them out. And as I've probably mentioned as well, the casing for the bearings actually bent, so we had to actually go and give it a skim on the lathe. So it was nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. But I would hope now, as I said, just bringing on a few spins, that, you know, that'll reassure me that everything is fine. I will keep an eye on it every now and again, jack it up, have a feel, you know, of any rock or anything in the wheel, and keep an eye on things, basically. That's all. Keep them well greased. It's great with those half shaft seals, they can actually grease. The sure seals stop you from greasing them, so I prefer that. Now, that said, speaking about grease and grease nipples, I don't see any grease nipples on the gold belly, and it's strange because there was no grease nipples on the hub or a little bung for the used to have oil in some of these. So that is a little bit alarming, because I'm worrying, because it is something that I consider to be maintenance, is to have some form of a grease nipple going into those bearings. So that's another reason why I want to get in there and have a look and at least pack them with grease. So that concludes the video series, the 5th part of the rear wheel bearings, and this diff bearings thrown in there as well. Hope they've been helpful to people. I know I ended up putting a lot of the tractor back without videoing it, but that was just because my head was melted with all the mathematics and shims and stuff. But there's plenty of other videos on YouTube that can give a bit of guidance over that for that. So I hope that this has been a bit of a help. I hope might inspire some people to go and try and do it themselves. For me, it's just a way of keeping, I suppose, tabs on the work that I'm doing on these vintage vehicles. So until the next video, thanks a million for watching. Thanks for the people who've hit the like button or commented or subscribed. It's all appreciated. And I'd say the next ones are going to be back working, doing a small little job or two on this gold belly. Okay, until next time, good luck.